Hey everyone, I'm Brian Austin Green.
I'm Sharna Burgess.
And I'm Randy Spelling.
And you are listening to Oldish, an iHeartRadio podcast. Hi everybody. Hi you two.
Hi.
Hey.
Welcome to another episode of Oldish. We are here. We have an unbelievable guest. Randy, I would assume that you are super excited about this because of the three of us, you are the absolute health nut. Your videos that you post every day are like, oh, I just finished my jog, or this is me eating a banana, or here is, I've been doing sit-ups for 6 hours. You're that guy. So I can only imagine how excited you are by the guests that we have today.
I just wonder sometimes if people take you seriously. I've been doing sit-ups for 6 hours. Do people understand your sarcasm?
Well, first off, I hope they don't take me seriously. I hope that the people that listen to this understand my sense of humor. And if they don't, they will.
I kind of wish I had 6 hours to do sit-ups and push-ups.
I bet you do.
Oh my gosh.
I bet you do. So this guy, I remember looking back on the day, because I'm terrible with dates. I was trying to put it all together. I think it's somewhere in the 2000s, right? He had this P90X video out that was just insane for me.
Videos, more than one video. Yeah.
So it was a program. So you would get a booklet.
Says how much about you actually did.
Well, no, you would get a booklet, like a DVD booklet, and you would unfold it, and it was 8 DVDs or 9 DVDs. It was a whole thing.
Yeah.
And there was also a meal plan to it. There was an eating guide. There were notes that you were supposed to be taking. It was a whole way of changing your life during a 90-day period. I didn't do it because I don't know. It just seemed too daunting at the time. But I know a bunch of people did.
One of the many people that bought it looked at it and said, no, thank you.
But you know what? There were a lot of people that bought it. It was a revolutionary workout routine. It was a whole new way of living life.
Yeah, I think it was the most successful fitness program in America, right? I mean, it was just huge.
It was huge.
So our guest today, he's a motivational speaker, author of top-selling books, Bring It, Crush It, and The Big Picture. He's appeared on countless television programs. None other than Tony Horton.
Dude, thank you so much for coming on, man. We really appreciate it. It's so great having you here.
I got off the hill. This is me. I got off the hill.
Hey, this is
great.
All of us. So I love it. Absolutely fits right in.
Well, let's jump in.
Can we start with P90X? Is that okay?
What is this?
Yeah, I think everyone has a P90X.
I bought P90X. Massive DVD folder, eating plan, life-changing plan, whole thing. I was so overwhelmed. I literally put it down and I just never even attempted it.
It went in the too hard basket.
I saw it and I went, oh my God, what was I thinking?
I wonder how many people got a few days in and then said, no.
Day 1, check back 24 sets. Day 2, plyo. Day 3, on a shelf. Ball.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, dude. I mean, that course was so hardcore Navy SEAL,
alpha male, let's go,
all encompassing. Total alpha male, which I just didn't have any of. I worked out to be fit, but I didn't work out to be able to pick up my house and move it to a different lot if I wanted to, for the view.
Which I've done with this place 3 or 4 times.
Have you?
Yeah.
Right.
I believe you. You
bought those straps at Home Depot?
Oh, yeah.
So it doesn't hurt your back?
Me and 2 other dudes, we just drag it to the next lot.
Totally. So let's start. Even before that, you were up at 20th Century. Am I wrong? Or am I?
PA over at Fox, on Pico.
And at that point, okay, so in Los Angeles, so on Pico. At that point, were you heavy into working out, or was it kind of just sort of a hobby that you were into?
I was starting to, because I had an agent. I wanted to be an actor and a comic. I tried stand-up for a couple of years. I was with Second City LA for a year. I do a fantastic Columbo. That's all I ever did there.
That's good.
Anyway, so yeah, that was my main goal. And the cool thing about the gig was I was a PA for a guy by the name of Harlan Goodman, who used to be in the music business. And then he wanted to make movies with Julia Phillips, and her former husband did Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Taxi Driver, and The Sting with Robert Redford. So I thought, oh man, I'm working for these really cool people, and they're letting me go off on my auditions as long as I fed the cat and delivered the scripts and made the coffee and whatever, folded whatever they had me to do, either on the lot or back at her house. But I had an agent, and the agent goes, look, dude, if you really want to work in this town, you got to get a little bit fitter than you are. And I wasn't overweight or anything, but I had a little belly, I had skinny arms. It wasn't a great look. And so I just fell in love with the whole culture in California. It didn't exist on the East Coast. You were forced to exercise if you played on a sport in high school or college. Everybody else was just, drinking beer and smoking weed and eating double cheese youngest,
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I played basketball poorly. I played football. I was on the football team. I was a tackling dummy, really, more than anything. And I was a skier, but a terrible skier back then. I just, whatever. But I didn't know how to train to be better at these things. And then I moved to LA, and I get this gig, and now I'm joined not one gym at 4 at one point. I was a member of 4 different gyms. I would go to World Gym, and there's Lou Ferrigno and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I'm just sitting there with a pad going, 47 sets of chest. Seems extreme, but screw it. That's what they're doing.
Yeah. If I want a chest, this is what I do.
But I had a friend who was a track athlete. I would go to yoga because I wanted to meet women and whatever. I got bored. Yeah. So I was trying to avoid the boredom, the injuries, and the plateaus that come from doing just the elliptical or just running or just bodybuilding. And I loved that variety. And those were the early days of, this is before P90X. I mean, I wasn't even training all those celebrities yet. I mean, it was Harlan Goodman that introduced me to Tom Petty.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So how did you go from, working at 20th Century Fox, starting to get into the gym, to P90X shape and bringing this out to the world?
Well, I mean, like I said, I just went from slightly out of shape to pretty good shape because I fell in love with the whole philosophy, the whole culture of that sort of a thing. And then, when Harlan and Julia couldn't make any movies, they just, Julia was pretty crazy gal. And then Harlan kind of left, and I had a couple other clients. So I was training Harlan on the side while he was my boss, and I was training him on the side because he was noticing my transformation. From the course of the day he hired me to about 4 or 5 months into the gig, all that happened at the same time. I get hired by them. My agent says, get in shape. I started getting in shape. Harlan's going like, what's happening to you in the last 4 months? So I said, So he and I went to a mutual friend's garage and started working out. And I had him for 3 days a week. I told him what to eat, even though I wasn't a nutritionist or I just said, hey, look, man, you got to get off the burgers and the pizza and you got to eat some vegetables. And it was common sense to me. And so, so he's lost 40 pounds. And I'm still working for him. I'm a go-go dancer at Chippendales. I'm making furniture. I'm going to Vegas with a busload of other actors.
We've all been go-go dancers at Chippendales at some point, haven't we? I mean, I think that's kind of like, that seems to be the launch pad for everyone.
That's how Randy and I met. I mean,
yeah.
I had no stints there. I feel left out.
It sounds like a typical LA hustle for a lot of people that are out here trying to make it, trying to do their thing. That is the LA hustle and the grind, and you made the most out of it.
You got really invested in it though. Like you really, you did a complete life transformation. Like you got into the gym and working out.
It was slow though. This was not an overnight thing. This took some time. I was still smoking weed and I was still eating crappy food and drinking too many beers and whatnot. But it was over the course of a year, I was like, I'm going to cut that out and I'm going to add more training, more running, more whatever I needed to do. And then, when we weren't on the lot anymore, we got kicked off the lot. Harlan went back to East End Management. It used to be on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood. And so, Harlan's looking all gorgeous and he's walking down the hall and there's Tom Petty coming the other direction. And he had a tour coming up about 4 months away. Tom sees Harlan. He goes, holy crap. He had a cigarette, of course, because Tom liked cigarettes. He said, Harlan, you look fantastic. I'm going on tour and I'm fat. Nobody likes a fat rocker. Verbatim. That's what happened. So Tom calls me. My roommate picks up the phone and he goes, it's no way it's Tom Petty. So he hangs up on Petty and Petty calls. I think we got disconnected. And Bob goes, dude, I think this is Tom Petty. Well, give me the phone. Hello? I'm a friend of Harlan Goodman's. I'm Tom Petty. Can you come to my house? I'm fat and I'm going on tour. Yes. Next day at his house, we put out the cigarette. We had a conversation. We figured out what he needed. We saw what the time frame was. Now, this is the first person I had ever trained. Well, Harlan, right? Because he was my boss and pal at that point. And so Tom was the first like big shot client, and I got him shredded, man. I mean, he's cutting the sleeves off his shirts. He's wearing vests without shirts. His voice was better, his stamina was better. The tour was one of the best tours ever. And then I picked up. He called me over. He called me at my parents' house. It's like, how did you get my phone number? Hey, we're getting fat again. My wife and I need you. Do you want to go on tour for 3 weeks? Yes, I do.
Wow.
So it's part of the New York, New Jersey, Long Island part of his tour. Madison Square Garden 3 nights in a row. We're in the laminate, going anywhere I want, having a blast. And we would get up. He'd get up at 11, and then we'd work out, and then he'd go to sound check, and I'd follow him, and it was awesome. And then for that tour, the word got out, and then Billy Idol called me, man. Fantastic. What'd you do to Petty, mate? That's my not very good. It's only English. I apologize.
It's not too bad. So you just got
celebrity clients, basically.
It was rock and roll.
Yeah.
Shirley MacLaine's, Sean Connery. I mean, it was my first client. It was 5 a.m. and then I would go till 9 p.m.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
that
you
is
just
amazing.
Like you went from like 0 to 1,000 in like a 5-month period, it seems almost.
Yeah. That's I mean, I didn't have to be a carpenter, didn't have to do mime on the pier anymore to eat.
Right.
You know, how when I came to town, it was, a lot of that, looking for bucks and a half.
I've got so much respect for that. Tony, you got to understand, like, that hustle is hard. Many people come here to do it and they can't like let down that ego and go mime at Santa Monica Pier to eat.
Yeah.
And they give up on their dreams. So before we even get into the rest of your amazing life and story and journey, go you. That is just such an incredible quality and inspiring thing to hear. And I love that. That's very cool.
Yeah, I just wasn't going to go home. I wasn't, everybody thought, well, I was going to go for the summer. The whole thing was a summer trip, and then September came and I was still 6 credits short at the University of Rhode Island. I thought, well, I got to go back and get my degree. And originally I was just going to go to Boston and wait tables. I was a waiter forever and ever. I did that every summer for years. And then my buddy called and said, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to Boston and wait tables. He goes, I'm going to LA. You want to come? I had $400. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ran out of money in Boulder. We got to Boulder. And what did I pack? Some clothes, the white face, the black outfit with the vest, and the hat. And down at the ground in Boulder. And if you're a street performer in Boulder, you can make some money fast if you're any good. I made $125 that day. Got me to Beach, California, and that's and then the whole summer was a whirlwind, you know what I mean? And then September came. Are you coming home?
Wow.
I'll come home for the next semester and the next one and the next one.
Wait, so how old were you at this point?
22.
You were 22 years old.
Yeah.
So you had no family, not really anyone in
one
Los
buddy,
Angeles.
me and my buddy,
Wow.
and we painted houses. We slept on his sister's living room floor for the whole summer in sleeping bags. That was it. And then her husband he was a real estate guy. He said, hey, can you go paint this house? Sure. And we would just there was a picnic table in the back of one of the houses in the backyard filled with termites, broken down. And I'm a handyman. So I got some tools. I fixed it up. I lacquered the termites right into the damn there. We'd have people over and they'd go, dude, there's insects in your table. Oh yeah. It's like a piece of
right. No, I meant to do that. I put those in there.
That's part of the charm.
I'm really
it's
expensive.
the new thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally.
And we would peruse the alleys for other furniture, like those big wire spools. That was our living room table, and then there was couches and mattresses, and we just sprayed them with Lysol and dragged them.
That's cool. Love that.
It's an incredible story.
So Tony, tell us.
Sorry, we go off on tangents, and then Randy's the one that wrangles us back in.
The wrong guy. I'm tangent man, so
I'm the wrangler sometimes. So
Randy, good luck. You've got 3 people that like to go on tangents.
Yeah.
I wish you luck, my friend.
Yeah, we're like, I've got a story.
Right
Randy's
now.
like, shut up.
Yeah, squirrel. I am Doug from Up. Trust me.
Talk us through this. So I'm hearing that you've made your way through all these different routes, and then now you're training all of these celebrity rock personalities, and then P90X happens. How did your life change from recording P90X to then 6 months into P90X? What happened?
Well, there was the super poor me that was, performing to feed myself. And then there was that period where, I was working retail stores, and that was a slight upgrade. And then, this whole celebrity training thing started with Tom, and, it was Tom Petty, Billy Idol, Annie Lennox, Bruce Springsteen, and Stephen Stills Monday, Wednesday through Friday, and then other ones would slip in. And there was that lifestyle. That was I was fit. I had one gig. I didn't have to do all these other stuff, even though I would do this Oscar gig. I would stand on a stage frozen for an hour and a half, holding the sword in a spandex outfit with just two little slits, whatever. I paid pretty good money. Just whatever. I did these little odd
Wait, what was that?
As an Oscar statue?
So there'd be like Kodak or Xerox or somebody all would get together, and they would hire, because I was a pantomime, and I used to be in store windows. And so it was the skin tight gold thing. And I had a physique that was shaped like the Oscar, and you would move until like about 15 minutes. And then you would just turn your head and people would freak out thinking you were fake. And that was what I did. So then
that's so great.
I was getting commercials, and I had little parts in movies. I was in Last Action Hero with Schwarzenegger. I was, I had a show on Playboy, the Playboy channel, called Playboy 360.
I remember that show.
You do.
I remember hearing about it. I rember hearing the name.
Tweed. It ran for
a friend told me about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we were trying to be Entertainment Tonight, but without the black lines across the
right
breasts and stuff. And, we're trying to be but it was literally kitschy, and we did these opening sketches and stuff. I mean, the writers got to know me, and I would sing, and I can't sing. So that's why they would write these bits for me to sing. I was just so terrible. And, we had a lot of fun, and 3-camera show, teleprompters, and a co-host. Day one, first day, 23 takes for the opening segment. I thought they're going to just fire me. I mean, I didn't know how to go follow the lights, then remember go to camera 2, back to her, back to 1, and finish on 3. But what a great training ground. And then I got a job with Nordic Track, flying back and forth to Minneapolis. And I was their sort of a on-camera spokesperson for 3 or 4 years for various pieces of equipment. And so that's how I was getting into that world. And then this
who was it that reached out to you initially with the idea for that video?
For which one?
For P90X.
Well, there was a guy, Ben Vanderbunt, who changed my life forever. So I was training Ben, and he worked for a company called Guthrie Ranker. And at that time, they were the biggest infomercial company in the country, massive. They had all the major shows. And, we became pals. And he said, I'm bringing this guy in from Philly. His name is Carl Deichler. And he did 8-minute abs. And he's out of Philly. This thing's really successful. It's very rare that you get a guy who's not an LA or New York guy who can pull off something like that. So Carl started joining us in the workouts. And Carl was working for Ben and doing infomercials that he hated. He was a fitness guy. And so he went to Ben and said, hey, I want to use Tony and my girlfriend's trainer to do this thing called Great Body Guaranteed. Can we borrow your editing bay? Can we borrow your cameras? Can we borrow all this stuff? And Ben's like, yeah, sure, go for it. And so, he paid me $2,000. And to make a long story good, the thing worked. And which is rare. Like, infomercials are tough. You try to make them, and 9 out of 10 fail, because you're buying these wild spots and these national spots, and you're spending $5K, $10K, $20K, $30,000, $50,000. And if you spend all that money and nobody buys it, you don't have your investors like, I'm out. You know what I mean?
Right,
so
right.
The thing worked, and he's like, damn it, what do we do next? And so people started knocking on his door. And for me, it was just another gig, whatever. I'm back to my training my celebrities. And he goes, I want to do another one. What's that thing that you do with Petty and Idol and Springsteen and all these guys? Can you condense that without all the fancy equipment that they have, and just do it with bands and dumbbells and body weight? I go, yeah, just give me like a month and I'll come up with the sequences. So Power 90, which a lot of people don't know about, was the precursor to P90X. And then I had a lawyer, and then I got royalties, and everything was legit all of a sudden. So I was getting a piece of the pie. And in the end, we sold about 3 to 5 million of those. I don't know where it is now. And, I lived in the same apartment for 21 and a half years. I was $60K in debt because I was buying things I didn't need, because I was getting some money from my celebrity clients. But I mean, the same apartment with a view of the same convalescent home with the same car that got broken into every couple of weeks. It was just, whatever. It was better than doing mime on the pier for food. And this thing, when it flatlined forever, because most people are like, wow, 6 days a week and eating right. That's, I don't know. But there was that select few that went, that's legitimate and I want to do it. And so I started getting these royalty checks that were just like, just crazy.
They seem silly. Yeah.
Silly.
Like this is a joke check, right?
But got out of debt, got out of the apartment, bought a nice 4-bedroom home with a view of the Hollywood sign and the hills, and pretty groovy. I didn't have any money for furniture. So that was sort of embarrassing.
Doesn't mean you could refurbish whatever you found. So it was fine.
Yeah. The old stuff that I used to make didn't really quite fit in a new house. So then, Carl said, what's the next thing? Let's make Power 90 harder. And I'm like, dude, you're never going to sell any of these. And everybody over at Guthrie Renker, even Ben and Bill and Greg Renker, the big shots, they've been doing this for years ago. Good luck with that. And the American public's not up for that. They don't want to do that at home. And so the cool thing was that I said, I want to hire my friends and I want to hire people from the test groups. And we had a discussion about what my persona should be on camera. And Carl just said, do you. Don't worry about being with Nordic Track, super stiff, Power 90, kind of stiffish. But in P90X, I mean, they had to cut several times because I went overboard. Just like too loopy, too crazy, too out of control. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, cut, dude. It's not silly X, bro. You got to tone it down. The okra and the navy bean and don't smash your face and backing up like a pterodactyl. Like every time I did that stuff, I was waiting for cut. And I go, oh, okay. I'm still
just pushing boundaries. I love it.
It's like, nah, I mean, I did stand-up comedy for 2 years and my stand-up was really irreverent, very physical. It was stuff that you probably can't even do anymore. So anyway, I borrowed.
So you were like, fuck it, I'm going to use as much as I can in this because I have a platform to use it.
And if people who watched it, you guys included, felt like, hey man, I feel like I'm part of this crew. I feel like, he's giving me modifications. I mean, I don't have to crush it.
No, it's amazing though. Like even now, I don't even want to say just during that time period. It's the personalities that sell the products. And I so remember the infomercials of you and just the energy you had and the physique you had. And I was like, oh my God, I want to be that guy. And then I got the DVD set and I was like, I don't want to be that guy. This is way too much.
A lot of them were on the shelf and then they came off the shelf and they went back on the shelf.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. They would see friends of theirs like, holy crap, dude, you did it. You used to be.
Yeah, you stuck with it.
You got through it and look at you now. And that was, I mean, according to whatever stats, like 12% of people who the only ones that got through it all the way the first time, 12%.
I bet. I
get that.
That's pretty really good though, 12%.
I've worked out my whole life. Like I've been active and I got that. And I was like, no, this is the next level. Like I can't do this. I can't. I'm disappointed in myself because I threw in the towel really prematurely on it. I should have given it a shot, but I didn't. And that's just something I'm going to have to live with, Tony.
Well, I'm not trying to one up you here, Brian, but I made it through. I did it.
Did you?
You did the whole thing, Randy?
Did not.
Yeah. I
Look
did.
At you go.
And
of course you did. This makes sense.
I'm not trying to one up me. Of course you're trying to one up me and you just did, you bastard.
But here's the thing. First of all, I felt that it was very much life-changing because I'd gone to the gym and done weights. I was skinny, scrawny, small as a kid. And so I had weightlifted on and off and done things for years. But by the time P90X reached me, I was at my second stage of like going through addiction and finishing that and coming out of that into, okay, who am I going to be? And I want to feel healthy. I want to look healthy. And P90X was huge for me because it was a way to do it. I could follow along. It was, hearing you have this spark and this aliveness and this energy while not taking things too seriously. And, it sort of gave me this, hey, every morning I'm going to do this thing, and you put up a pull-up bar and, you do some pull-ups, and the more you do, the stronger you feel, and you can see your improvement. I mean, that was the biggest thing with P90X is I I didn't fill out some of the cards, but I had people like, I started with 2 pull-ups and I'm doing 8. And so people were feeling better about themselves within a week, within 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And that instant gratification worked for so many people. It certainly worked for me, but it trained me to become aware of moving my body in such a way made me feel more present. It helped my nervous system to regulate, to depress it, just so I wasn't feeling as anxious and I was more calm. And it's like you were training me.
I get that. Yeah.
You know, but you were training me. And I imagine so many people had that same experience. I mean, you must have heard lots of stories. What was it like for people coming up to you, just sharing their life-changing moments with you?
Well, there's no ways to figure out how to go from being completely unknown to being quasi-famous. You know, I mean, I always joke around and say that I'm a C- celebrity, you know, but you know, at the peak, it was everywhere all the time. You know, I might have been a politician in a past life, but I just love it when people come and say, like your story right now, man. I feel that. I mean, I get a little.
I could tell watching you. I could see it on your face
because you're transformed, dude. You're in a place of tremendous struggle, and you use physical activity not to only change your appearance, which is what a lot of people do. They do it because of their ego, and they care too much about what they think other people think of them, as opposed to just the experience, being in the moment, being present, like being calm, like because. You read John Rady's book Spark, and you know others that have written books about physical activity on your mental and emotional and even spiritual state. It's mind bending what happens. You're releasing norepinephrine and dopamine and serotonin and brain derived neurotropic factor and all these cannabinoids that are happening inside your temporal lobe and hippocampus and stuff. And it's miracle grow for the brain, and it gives you energy and it calms you down at the same time, and it helps you be present. It helps you solve problems. It helps you be more creative. It helps you be more patient, more understanding. It slows down the aging process. It really is. It's life-changing. And the only thing is that, I mean, I wish the book that I wrote, The Big Picture, had accompanied P90X more. If they had read the book and done the program, they would have understood the process better and to be more patient. Don't judge it so much and understand that it's a struggle. Like nobody complains about going from first grade to second to third to fourth and fifth all the way through high school, but they want to get ripped in 4 weeks. Like, come on, man. You know what I mean? School, you're sitting on your ass and you're hopefully paying attention. Exercise, you're pushing and pulling and squatting and lunging and ab rip or Xing and whatever it is. And that's, a lot of people don't like being outside of their physical, you know, comfort zone, especially the yoga. Everybody skipped the damn yoga because it forced them to be in the moment. It forced them to be patient. It forced them to work on their weaknesses. And people, I'm a boxer. I want to box. I'm an elliptical person. I want to do that. I want to, you know, and the reason why there were 12 routines instead of 6, which was what Carl originally wanted, I said, no, man, we got to throw the world at them, because the boredom and the plateaus that are and injuries that are caused from doing the same crap over and over again, expecting a different result. I mean, there's a lot of programs still. No one has ever done some version of P90X. I'm like, why haven't you ripped me off yet? Because your boxing only, or your Pilates only, or your yoga only is only going to give them so much. But if you really want to see results in a reasonable period of time, look at me. I'm just going and going.
I love it.
No.
This is good.
I love your story, dude. I'm like getting chills now. Because you're a different, better man. You have slowed down the aging process. You have reversed the aging process. It's not about bicep size and how much you bench and all that bullshit that too many, and your reflection in the mirror and your dress sizes. That's ephemeral garbage that only takes you so far. But if you want this lifestyle to go on to the day you friggin' die, then you move your ass as much as you eat and you breathe and you work and you pay your bills. It has to happen all the time.
So is that why you think that, like, in New Year's resolutions, so many people, their number one resolution is to get in better shape, but they're getting into it for the wrong reasons? They're not going into it going, I'm ready to make a life change. They just look in the mirror and they go, I want bigger biceps, or I want
the ones that succeed or the ones fail. The ones that fail are missing basically 4 things. Their purpose sucks. All right. They don't have a plan. They don't have any kind of accountability. And they're not patient. They don't understand that this is going to take time, just like it did going through school. So my purpose is, I'm a skier. So this morning I got up and I skied as fast and as hard as I could down the steepest, scariest shit I could. And I'm 65 and I can do that better now than I could even 5 years ago.
You're 65.
You're 65.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you're 60. What
Wait,
now?
hold on a
I
second.
got sunblock on. That's why I look a little pale, but otherwise,
Dude, you look amazing. You look
I need
like
that
you're in your
sunblock,
fucking
whatever that
like
sunblock
mid-30s.
is.
It's crazy.
Get me that sunblock.
Is that a prescription, that sunblock?
That's crazy, right? Yeah. Is
by
that
the way,
over the counter, or do I have to know somebody to get that sunblock?
And crappy lighting. So I thank you all.
So wait, let's go over this again. Your purpose sucks. So purpose has to be number one. Can you say a little bit more about that?
Do it because it improves the quality of the day. Do it because it improves what's happening inside of your mind. Do it because of all the reasons I explained before. There's a myriad, a cornucopia, a panoply of things that improve in your life that moment you do it. When you do yoga and you're lying in Shavasana, you're a completely different person, physically, mentally, emotionally, biologically, psychologically, than you are with a person who blew it off. All right. And so you want to keep building on that. Right? That's your purpose. Like, I want to ski hard. If your purpose is only about aesthetics and measurements and weight, then maybe if you have a massive ego and you care about those things 24/7 to the day you die, well, then maybe you'll stick with it.
Right. It's never going
to
last long.
Get out in the world and you want to go to Italy and you want to ride your bike on the Appian Way that Caesar built, right? And you want to be on top, or you can be in your car far away taking photos of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Exercise does is, especially if you have a lot of combination of different things, it improves your athleticism. It helps you with hand-eye coordination. It helps you with your balance. It helps you with just enjoying experiences that are around the world that you get to enjoy, even as you get to 65, 70, 75 and beyond. And most people my age, a lot of my peers, I went to high school and college, they're done. They're not riding bikes. They're not skiing anymore. They're living through their kids and grandkids at this point. And right. I don't have those. So it's just me and my wife charging at full speed. And so that just gives you, like, that's your story. Your story is the person who got in shape and now is taking the advantage of that and going and doing things that you would have never done otherwise. All right. And that's my purpose. It can be something that has nothing to do with your ego or your aesthetics. Erase those two and get busy, because you're going to start seeing and being part of some cool things. Right. And then consistency is number two. Consistency is just knowing that this has to happen as much as you breathe and as much as you eat and as much as you go to work and as much as you do everything else. Because everybody else, they're surviving without exercise and a decent diet. They're just getting by. And then eventually from 30 to 35 to 40, it starts to go off the cliff. And then their world gets smaller and smaller and smaller because they just eat decent food and they couldn't move their ass. They didn't know. And those things are hard. Shit that's hard gives you a life. Shit that's easy can destroy your life. So, that's it. So you got your purpose, consistency, and then your plan is, what are you going to do and when are you going to do it? Like, if you wake up and go, I got to do yoga today, I don't know what time, and I don't know, then there's no way. I know exactly what I'm going to do and when I'm going to do it every day. And I announce it to the world, my assistant, my wife, everybody. I say, between hour A and hour B, don't bother me, because that's chest and back. On Friday at 9 a.m. to 10:30, that's yoga. Sorry, that's where and when it's already locked in, you've made an appointment with yourself to improve your life, which inevitably ends up improving everybody's life around you, because you're an example of somebody who's living large. You know what I mean?
Making an appointment with yourself. I just love that. Wait, I just want to point that out for a second. Okay. Making an appointment with yourself to better yourself. I freaking love that phrasing. And I think that's something that's easily digestible and powerful for someone to go, yeah, I'm going to make an appointment with myself. I love that.
I'm just trying to play devil's advocate, because I know, like, sort of in a lot of the things that I talk to people about, and they're like, oh, well, I have the family and I'm busy and I don't necessarily have all the time.
That's bullshit. My friend Tracy Murrow, 4 of her own kids and 2 kids adapted for Africa. One of them's a special needs kid. She got all her workouts in because she knew that if she found that half an hour, P90X3 was a half an hour. If you don't have a half an hour, you don't care. Get up a half hour earlier or go to bed a half hour later. I can tell you dozens of stories of people who used to think that, hey man, you don't know what, I got 3 jobs. And for a lot of people, their life is very, very complicated and it's super, super hard. But anybody can get on the deck and do 10 push-ups and do jumping jacks for a minute, and then do like 12 crunches, and then do 8 squats and repeat that 4 times, 5 times, whatever they want to do.
Right.
It takes 15 minutes, but people don't even know to do that.
Right.
The I can't blah, blah, blah is just an excuse not to want to live better.
So then it leads to the other one you said, right? Accountability. How do you recommend that someone has like an accountability buddy, or this is something you just have to have for yourself?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of people who lived in Minnesota who got up at 4:30 in the morning and went down in their 58-degree basement and did yoga or plyometrics by themselves, and then got up and fed their kids and went to work. These are superheroes. I don't know. There's a lot of people
Superheroes.
like that.
Mhm.
There's a gal, Kathy. She was 5 foot tall. She was 210 pounds. She did Power 90. Her husband was against all of it. Like, why are you doing this? You're not spending enough time with me. This is who you are. That's your genetics. Well, you try all these different diets and programs and none of them work. I mean, she was hammered by this guy and she just did it anyway because she believed in it. Couldn't do a single push-up. Couldn't do one. She was a legal assistant, legal secretary, and she had to get on a bus to go to work for an hour, right? So she just got up an hour earlier, went down in her basement, kind of meandered her way through Power 90, couldn't do most of the exercises. She did it. So it's 3 months. She did it once, twice, 3 times. 9 months in, she lost like 40 pounds. And then her husband's now going, now all you care about is your looks and your fitness and you're leaving me out. What am I mean, she would tell me this, like, let me go to your house and just pound on this guy. Then she bought P90. She saw it was a pull-up bar. I go, what is he, out of his mind? Pull-ups? Beachbody hired her for a gig. So she did her 3 times Power 90, 3 times P90X. And I don't know the fitness models from the people who had done the program. I'm just walking into the room and I see this girl and she looks like a gymnast. She's jacked, abs, shoulders, striations everywhere, vascular. And I go, wow, where'd they find you? Holy smokes, you are. She goes, well, I'm one of the contestants that won the chance to be in this infomercial with you. And then she shows me her before picture, tells me to start no push-ups. And then on the set, she knocks out 12 pull-ups.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible.
I mean, I just watched it go.
That's so impressive.
And
Incredible.
so, yeah. And I mean, you can have those excuses until you don't.
Yeah.
And I don't know what sparked her. I can't remember what was the thing that just said, I'm tired of being this person. And she just turned. And then I asked her if she divorced her husband. No, she didn't answer that question.
She didn't answer that question, but she was in all of my videos from that point forward.
Yeah.
She's in the commercial anyway. It's inspiring.
I think something that I certainly have a lot of people write me about are health issues, lots and lots of health issues. And I really want to talk about this in a moment because what you're doing now, working out for hormone, I think this is really, really important. But a lot of people say, I can't do this because of health reasons. And there's an idea that they have. And maybe some people can't do exercises to the degree that they need to. But I want to ask you about your health journey because for you, you're this fit guy, larger than life, huge personality, sort of like king of the world, doing well. And then you get hit with Ramsay Hunt syndrome. And I mean, I saw pictures of you in a wheelchair and, you looked kind of gaunt and skinny, and the P90X guy that I knew, you seemed very different then.
Oh, I was very different then. And I had shingles in my ear. And then, there's all these nerves that affect your sight, your smell, your taste, and your balance that are directly in here. And so if you're going to get shingles, that's not where you want it. It's the very last place.
So you had shingles nowhere else on your body but your ear, and it paralyzes.
They get it on their neck, they get it on their back, they get it on their forehead, they get it around their eyes. There's all kinds of places to get shingles. It's just the chickenpox virus that's been living in your body forever. And it usually happens for older folks that are dealing with stress. And at that time, there was configuration of many things that were going on. But for me, Beachbody and I were coming to an end unexpectedly. After 20 years of service, they just, bottom line is they just didn't want to pay me what I thought I deserved at that point. I won't get into it, but it was not a good time for me. And then there was the Vegas shooting, and I knew people that were there, and just hearing their stories of dodging bullets and watching people die left and right. And then Tom Petty died. So contract negotiations, Vegas shooting, Petty. God, my ear feels weird. And then all of a sudden these sores pop up, and I didn't take care of it right away. I just thought my wife thought I was having a stroke because I couldn't really walk right. And then I got Bell's palsy, so that I couldn't eat. And then, a week later, I ended up at the ER, and the admitting doctor is Googling my symptoms, and he goes, "Oh, I think you got something called Ramsay Hunt syndrome."
Google. Oh my God.
Google. I'm in the ER.
Google diagnosed you. Yeah.
Because they couldn't figure it out because it's so rare. 1 in 100,000 people who get shingles get Ramsay Hunt syndrome because it doesn't.
Wow.
So we're a part of a very small group. About a year out of commission, the first 3 months were abject hell. Just all I did was sleep, eat Rice Krispies, drink shakes, vomit. I vomited 5, 6, 7 times a day for 3 months.
Oof.
I couldn't keep and I couldn't turn my head, so I'd have to.
Did you have vertigo from it also?
I had bilateral vestibular hypofunction. Vertigo is this.
Right.
Ramsay Hunt syndrome is this. It's like brain Parkinson's is what it is.
Okay.
And so it's really hard. Like if I turn my head, I would throw up. So I'd have to. That's why you would just lay in bed, stare at the ceiling. And when
I had vertigo. I was bedridden for like 3 months. I couldn't lift my head up off the pillow without throwing up. Also, I threw up about 17 times a day. It was terrible. Wow. Terrible.
And you didn't have any you had no shingles anywhere. It was just.
No, I went from that. I went through a whole neurological thing that took me out for about 4.5 years. I had to recover from. Ended up being dietary, ended up being gluten and dairy and things that were causing all this internal inflammation. That I had no idea that I had.
Bowel syndrome, all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Oh, all sorts of things, which is why now, why speaking to you and really being on this quest of like, I'm drinking my my colostrum water right now, and I had my my mushroom coffee or tea in the morning, and I'm like really trying to just kind of turn it all around and get back into like really good physical fitness and diet and all that.
A lot of people,
because I'm 50.
Well, there you go. You're walking the same path as me, my friend.
It's my time. Yeah.
And you look 47, which is incredible, really.
By the way, second, I said mid-30s to you. Come on now.
No, but you easily look 15 years younger than you are. So that's we're moving in the right direction. And a lot of people would run to their pharmacist and their doctor to throw me some pills so I can take care of it.
Yeah.
Temporarily. People don't want to change their diet. They don't want to start moving physically. They don't want to get their blood work done. You know what I mean? They don't want to buy a foam roller. They don't want to get an infrared sauna. I mean, all that recovery stuff is ice cold baths now and all that. All these different things are really important. You know what I mean? It was, what's his name who plays for the Lakers? LeBron James. Every hour he's either playing or training, he takes 2 hours of recovery. That's right. He's still able to do what he's doing. It's that recovery time. It's that downtime. It's that meditation. He's got his own meditation app. I mean, the guy's just way ahead of the curve.
Calm, right? Is that?
They're just playing and partying, you know what I mean? And they burn out.
Yeah.
You know better.
So what was the recovery like for you?
From Ramsay Hunt syndrome.
Well, a lot of time spent at the otorhinolaryngologist, ear, nose, and throat folks. And then a lot of tinctures and different kind of proteins and just hanging in there. I remember when I had the Bell's palsy, I went in and not a good look for on-camera folks. And he says, yeah, I mean, that could be permanent. So you're just going to have to live with it. And so nobody had the real strategy for me. I would go to these rehab where I would walk on a straight line and they put these crazy wallpaper on. So I would have to look at the wallpaper and I would get on Bosu balls and various things that would sort of help with the proprioceptive issues. And then I just said, hey, look, dude, you know what brung you. So get back in the gym and see what you can do. I remember the first time I walked on my treadmill for 5 minutes. And then I got off and I threw up and then I sat in a chair for 3 hours. I sat in a couch for 3 hours because I was so crushed. And I tried to get in and I could do like 8 push-ups for somebody. I've been able to do 110 in a row. So it was just like, in my mind, it was like, this is going to suck. It's going to take some time, but just notice the improvements. Like 5 turned to 8, 8 turned to 9, 15-pound dumbbells turned to 20, 25, 30. And this all started about the 6-month period. Like for the first 3 months, forget it. Couldn't move.
Nothing.
And then bits and pieces, and then my own rehab, and then the other rehab, and the Bell's palsy eventually went away. And I could smile and laugh. I mean, I honestly, all I did was just throw up and weep. I just put my head in my wife's lap, and because I just thought this is the end, But I've been an optimistic person, even when I was a kid, and I was, I was being beat up with my speech impediment, all those different things. I always felt like was going to turn out okay. Of course, it was, pretty horrible. And then it got pretty crazy. And then I had this crash, and I knew I could make my way back again.
Yeah. You did? You knew you had the mindset.
I had to. I had to. But I mean, I knew what physical activity does to not only my physique, but all aspects of who I am, especially my brain. My brain was fried. The nerves were fried. And so I was pumping blood into my body, oxygen in, carbon dioxide out. And I knew that was going to be cleansed, right? All these cells that were all these nerve cells that were fried. And a lot of people say, you know how long skin takes, how long bones take, how long these different things take. And then you talk to a doctor and then they'll go, nerves. I don't know. Never. Some 5 months, 2 years, my vestibular stuff, my balance stuff, still deal with it almost 7 years later. Still.
Oh, really?
This sounds so familiar to me. Like I had to do physical therapy, speech therapy. I shuffled like I was 90. I couldn't read. I couldn't write. I couldn't move I had no full extension of muscles or limbs or any of that. And I remember on a daily basis, I knew, I had intense brain fog, but I knew, okay, I'm either going to try and find the way to be as positive and optimistic about this as possible, or I'm going to let the fact that this is undiagnosed and nobody has a specific plan or can guarantee me any sort of effect either way, I'm going to let that bring me down. And I chose, thank God, I chose the higher one, and tried to stay as positive about life as I could. But that was absolutely the scariest thing that I've ever gone through. Undiagnosed things.
Your attitude, dude, was priority one for you to come back. I do these Tony talks every Tuesday night on Instagram. And next week is all about attitude. It's all about attitude, how you deal with fear, how you deal with anxiety, how you deal with judgment, fear, anxiety, anger, all these, that sort of energy that you have. But it's like if you can't get fit and healthy and happy and motivated and fired up and make it less about you and other people if that's the state you're in all the time. Like you would have never recovered if it was just like, woe is me, you would have. Yeah. Same thing with me. Like I think a lot of the people that suffer from what I've suffered from, their glass was half empty before they got it. And so now it's totally empty. You know what I mean? And they have no idea how to fill it back up.
How about for you though, coming from the world where you were and being in the shape that you were, to have such a rapid decline? I can't imagine how scary that was to go through. That's, for me, it was like, I'm an actor. Like if I can't read, if I can't be on camera, if I can't do, then what? I grew up playing drums. I couldn't sit behind a drum set and even fucking hit a drum. Like I couldn't find it with the sticks. There was everything that I knew about myself that was my identity up until that point, or I thought was my identity, I couldn't do. So then it was like, okay, what is my identity now? Like, who am I? With all of that stripped away, who do I want to fucking be now?
My guess is though that you're a better man because of it.
Oh, absolutely. I remember going through it thinking, like, what fucking purpose is this going to serve? Like I really try when I go through tough things in life to find the silver lining and find the positivity in all of it, and know like, oh, this is happening for the greater good and I'm amazing things. But that was one of those things in life where I was like, what fucking purpose is this serving? And now looking back on it, God, that was the catalyst for so much change in my life. Just as far as like really losing a lot of my insecurities and my things, and like really being happy with myself and proud of myself, and wanting to finding more compassion with people and being more empathetic, and I completely changed as a person at that point, because I was like, if I can fucking make it through this, I can make it through anything. Nothing scares me now. I can fucking deal with anything.
Yeah. One of the things too, for me was surrounding myself. My wife was a godsend. She without her, but I had a lot of people that came to my rescue who were just, they were like showing up with all kinds of crazy, ginger cayenne tinctures or whatever, like eat this or drink that, and I was lucky because I was always pretty good at surrounding myself with really, really upbeat, positive, funny. I mean, most of my friends, I would say, are actors in comics. Like when you come to my workouts, it's just we laugh our ass off, the camaraderie and there's a little mild competitiveness too. You're like, oh, what you just lift? Was that 35? So I'd be grabbing the 40s, punk ass.
Right. Okay.
Whatever it is. And it's just that, like when you've got that, if you've got a lot of finger pointers and naysayers and wannabes and angry and frustrated people in your life and you're going through hell, well, then where's that good energy, coming from? And then the other one is movement. I knew that if I just moved somehow, some way, I can't compare the past to the present because the present sucks. So, I'm going to have to start all over again. But I just know that basic movements, whatever they are, whether kind of a lunge, whatever kind of walking on a treadmill, whether it's just, knocking out a few push-ups as opposed to saying, I'm never going to be like I was. Well, then, now I'm in a lot of respects stronger and fitter and faster and more flexible than I've ever been in my life because of what I went through, because of what you went through. Same thing. And that's, a lot of people get kicked in the ass like that. And then that's it. It's all downhill. And it's too bad that happens to them.
All right, everybody, that is all we have for you today because our chat with Tony was so awesome. There is so much more for you to listen to. So make sure you tune in on Thursday for part 2.
Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Yes, you guys are amazing. Make sure you guys go and follow us on Instagram at OldishPod. And you can also go and leave us a message at our own hotline, which is 855-OLDISH-3.
Make sure and write us a review. Leave us 5 stars if you loved it. Leave us 5 stars if you didn't.
We love 5 stars. We love 5 stars.
Yeah. We like 5 stars.
Yeah. See you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
See you next week, everyone.